I'm Pablo Pérez Armenteros. I'm the head of sector of social media in the European Commission. So my main role is basically to define and implement the main strategies, the online strategies of the communication efforts of the European Commission, of this institution, basically all over the social media environment and the online environment. Well, basically, we don't like the fake news term because it's much more a slogan, okay, from certain politicians. So we go with disinformation, and disinformation, the definition is clear, is false or misleading information created and spread in order to deceive the public perception about certain topics, and with the main objective of, attack the credibility of certain institutions, politicians or topics, and also to obscure, in a way, the citizens' perception about those topics. And it is basically a threat to democracy, to the democratic processes, but also to certain, issues like health, environment, and other, basically, public health, public situations issues. We have 1,000 of examples. I mean, we have been collecting examples since 1992. I mean, this is not anything new. I mean, it has been around 4 years, and it is true that now it is much bigger due to the propagation, let's say, of social media network and the online environment, of course. But there are a bunch of examples, like the European Union wanted to, we have seen that the European Union wanted to ban kebabs, for instance, or that we wanted also to prohibit the certain breeds of dogs, like corgi dogs, that are actually the breed of dog that the Queen of England has. Those are basically just a couple of examples. Also, there has been news about that we wanted to prohibit it or to ban feta cheese. Those are all kind of examples of disinformation that we have seen spread through the online environment and for many years. Mainly to confuse people. So these are disinformation pieces that their main objective is to divide society and to mitigate, to attack any kind of credibility that institutions, traditional media, national governments might have. So next time that you can see whatever coming from those sources, you might say, this is not true, because I have read, I have seen, whatever. So the main objective of this disinformation, it is to divide society. And why it is a threat to democracy? Because you are, in a way, obscuring the judgment of the citizen in order to take informed decision. Because democracy, it is based on the actual fact that the people need to take informed decision when going to vote, when doing, reading, writing, whatever. In their daily life, they need to take informed decision, and it is basically and really important for, the democratic processes of our society. First of all, the European Commission, or the European approach toward disinformation, it's based in two, let's say, main pillars. One is the political aspect of it. So what we do is to work with fact-checkers, so they can analyze, they can actually be ready to react to this kind of disinformation. And also on the policy area, what we do is or what we have done, what the Commission has done, is to oblige, in a way, to the social network, to Twitter, to Facebook, to Google, to sign a code of conduct. That is almost a utopia in the United States, because they are signing something that is based on moral respect, on moral principle. So basically what they have said is that they are committed to put in place certain actions to fight disinformation, that it's coming from deleting fake accounts, to block networks of bots. So those are actions that, in a way, the Commission is obliging to the social platforms to take. And then is the internal aspect, how we identify here in-house. We have several tools, media monitoring and social media monitoring tools that allow us, when a story pick up, allow us to first check if that story is correct, check with the operational units, with the people actually dealing with that particular topic, if it's correct, if it is misleading, and to clarify. Once we have that, we send it to the network of EU mythbusters that we have here in-house in order to create either a positive narrative out of this to counterfeit that disinformation piece, or to actually do a rebuttal. How we do a rebuttal, we need to analyze also, the possibility of, when doing a rebuttal, not put the focus more than needed in that information. We don't want to be part of spreading the disinformation when trying to rebuttal. So if, let's say, Mr. Salvini, Mr. Orban says something that is misleading or false, it will be either the President of the European Commission or one of the Commissioners at the same level of the people that has been spreading the disinformation that actually reacts. If that disinformation is spread on Facebook, on Twitter, it will be the social media unit, the one in charge of reacting. If it's a traditional media, it will be the spokesperson service. So we have several layers of actually, in a way, to counterfeit and to rebuttal the disinformation aspect. Well, actually, yes, there are several countries that are starting in a way to create policy out of it and trying to define also the framework, the legal framework where they can act. It is based on a recommendation actually that the European Union and the European Commission suggested before and ahead of the election, that we needed, that this is a real threat to democracy and that we needed to put things in place. As the Commission or the EU doesn't have competences on that sense to legislate, we have asked the member states to actually move forward and to take a step forward on this. And there are certain countries that have already started, as France, as Germany, but from the European Union perspective, what we are doing is to support those efforts from the countries and to actually create a network for them to share best practices and to be in permanent contact so they can act together, because this information, and especially on social media, it has no frontiers. So it is indeed a European problem, it is a worldwide problem. Actually, just ahead of the elections, we were of course worried, but we were prepared also. So what we have done, it is with the help, of course, of the fact-checkers and the external people and companies, to put together to reinforce, let's say, this fight against disinformation. And the latest report that we have received, based on this code of conduct that I mentioned before, it is that in certain countries we have identified certain networks of bots that with the aim of propagating false information, but also to give support and exposure to certain link to certain political parties. For instance, in Spain, there was a network of bots aiming to actually promote anti-migration hashtags, and this network was linked to the far-right party in Spain, Vox. In France, it happened the same, something similar, but with the Gilets jaunes. So, in several countries, there have been several cases, and thanks to the actions also linked to this code of conduct, Twitter, Facebook, they have taken down these accounts and this network. There was also 130 false or fake accounts on Twitter that were taken down by the platform, and they were linked to Esquerra Republicana. So this is not something that is linked to one single party, and this is the real threat. When it is no longer a situation that is always coming from the Kremlin, from Russian sources. No, it is also something that is created here inside Europe, and with the aim, as I said, to divide society and to create a misleading opinion in the citizens. For instance, we have been collecting these information cases coming from the UK tabloids since 1992. So, indeed, this is not anything new, but we have seen how social media has transformed isolated fights and also isolated topic in something massive that have actually led to decisions that are bad for society and that divide the society. And the clear example is Brexit. We saw how the disinformation played a main role in the Brexit campaign, and especially in the Leave camp. So, of course, we would have loved to participate. We were asked not to by David Cameron back in those days. So we didn't participate in that in order to put the facts straight. But we were ready to do so. And the main problem, and the one that actually is leading in a way to the situation that we are living today and the action that has been taken from a new perspective, has been Brexit. Brexit has played quite an important role on the action that nowadays we are taking in order to protect democracy. Now, there are several countries that are actually taking action, and from a European perspective, we of course support all the action that are aiming to fight this disinformation or to participate in the fight against disinformation, because we have felt also from the European Commission perspective that we were alone in this fight. And we need the countries, we need the member states to do something. For instance, Germany is doing or is putting in place certain legislation, France as well, and in Finland, in order to raise awareness also for the kids in the school, they are putting in place also the possibility for them to spot what is disinformation and how to do it. So they are giving them and their citizens their tools to identify and to be able to actually protect themselves from this threat that is disinformation. With the new commission that is about to arrive and to take office, well, disinformation is here and it's here to stay. And of course the fight against disinformation will stay. It will be one of the main priorities regarding communication, but also in the policy area. So disinformation and the fight against disinformation will not stop. We are not going to stop our efforts because we believe that it's important to protect the citizen, and it's important to protect our way of life, and it's important to protect democracy and the democratic processes. Of course, the fight against disinformation, it is something that, well, everyone needs to be on board, from fact-checkers to citizens to politicians and member states. This is a common effort. This is something that we need to have everyone actually informed and prepared and swimming in the same direction, because this is putting in danger the society as we know it. And in order to have a progressive society, in order to move forward, we need to inform citizens, and we need to protect also and to promote media literacy.